Hello?
Hello.
Hello!
Hey. I think that happened last time as well.
Was that?
I think the same thing happened last time as well. We couldn't hear each other at first.
I think it's something with my headset not connecting to new participants in meetings, so it's all good.
Ah, I see. Will the other guys be
Nice to
joining
see
us
you
today?
again.
Pardon?
Uh, Nice to see you again, by the way.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Uh, Unfortunately, Peter, Stefan, and Daniel had prior stuff today with work and stuff, so they couldn't be able to. I don't work today, so that's why I had the time. So yeah,
Oh, that's fair enough. Well,
yeah,
thank you for coming again.
yeah, yeah. No worries.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it enough last time to come back.
Yeah, 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 of course.
So I was just thinking, like, it's been like nearly a year since we last spoke,
Yeah.
and like even because like it was really hot today, and I remember us saying last time it was really hot then, so it's probably nearly around the same time. So
Yeah.
like, how's this year been for you, Jesper? Like there's a lot of change, hasn't it?
Um, mm, it's been a wild ride with the
Yeah.
band for sure. It's been. Um, I can take a lot of small things, but probably it's going to sound like I'm taking them out of context. But there's a lot of small things this year that each and every one of them is literally a dream. So it's really weird. Um, it's just weird to me. Weird and wonderful.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's like the smaller things that can make it feel more real than sort of like the bigger things. Like, do you think those maybe like smaller moments, like kind of you're able to feel them more because like they're able to feel more real than some of the more surreal stuff you've been like going through as your band's gotten bigger?
Uh, Definitely. I think one of the things that's stuck in my mind was a British journalist who approached Mario Deriso at the Frontier's office in Milan and said, "You need to check this Swedish band out before anyone else snags them." So that's the reason they approached us with a record deal. So it's crazy to me. And it seems like a small everything happening in a small time frame, but that was just wow. I've been dreaming for a chance like this since I was a kid. So yeah, it's really weird.
Well, I mean, you've obviously worked very hard for it, and I mean, I
Mm,
definitely believe you deserve it after listening to that first album that came out
yeah, yeah,
last
yeah.
year.
Mm,
Um, I guess now that all that good stuff had happened though, as a result of the first album, I was
yeah.
kind of wondering, like, if you felt a lot of pressure going into the second album, to sort of build on that, and if that meant, writing songs for the new album was more challenging for you.
100%. I wasn't prepared for the great reviews and the praise that the first album got. It's quite overwhelming, to be honest, when you think you're just writing music to feel good about yourself and try to get emotions to come across to the listeners and just have fun with it, right? But
Hmm.
when people started talking and saying such wonderful things about what you have done. Going into the second one, I felt a crazy amount of pressure.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's just the way I am. I think Daniel,
Hmm.
Peter, and Stefan were much more relaxed about it. But I think um, it's, to me, it was really important that people who liked the first record should recognize the band, but
Hmm.
also but also as a listener, you want the band to not copy themselves, but to have to progress also, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
I think it was much more pressure I felt, but the writing was easier than the first one. So
All
it's a
right.
double-edged sword. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
So you felt that pressure at first, but then your actual experience from the first one probably helped a lot more.
Yeah, and I think I was so deeply involved, feeling wise, with the story of the first record. So when I was writing all these things, it made it easy for me to stay in the same mode. I've been
Yeah.
in the world of Saraya mode now for 2 years, and it seems I'm still there, right? So I'm still in the narrative of the story.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably good that you jumped straight, like pretty much straight into doing the second album right away. Because some bands it can be like 3 years before they make their follow-up.
Yeah,
But I mean, to get a new one out like in probably just over a year, that's quite an achievement. You guys must have been working really hard.
yeah, and it's going to be the same for all the 4 albums. We already started pre-productions of the third one, so it's a lot of stuff happening. So once a year for 4 years, that's a brave thing to take on.
I mean, the whole concept I think is very ambitious. Like
Hmm.
like with this, not just like because it's not just one story. Like it's different stories in different worlds that all connect.
Yes, yes,
Um, and that's definitely like a really big thing to want to push yourself to accomplish. But you know,
yeah,
so far it's been going great. So I was
yeah.
kind of wondering the new
Hmm.
album, like what can they expect for the sort of characters of the album? What sort of emotional challenges are they going to be facing as they embark onto the next chapter?
I think there's always this fear of losing their world to the dark entities and losing what means the most to them. A lot of stuff has to do with grief.
Hmm.
A lot of stuff have to do with one man has a quest for eternal love that he's struggling with, and he's gonna have his path for what is it? 19 songs is gonna be about his journey to finding his lost girlfriend in the afterlife.
Hmm.
But we are introducing new characters. There's a young girl who's has a big role to play in this on this record. It's actually the guy and the girl from the track "Distant Memories" from the first album. Um, they have a daughter that you're gonna
Oh,
meet this time around.
nice.
Yeah, so we have a lot more. Um, we have a lot more, and to emphasize on that, we hired a girl this time around to add a female layer to the choirs and the vocals, just to feel her presence a little more.
Hmm.
And also, yeah, she sings a duet with Stefan, so her voice is going to be more present. So there's some new twists here and there in the story.
Ah, yeah, because that falls onto what I was going to ask, like sonically in terms of the actual music,
Mm.
what is going to be kind of the same, like, and what do you think what do you think fans are going to be kind of surprised about? What do you think's new on this for the sound?
I, I think people are going to be familiar with the way we write melodies and the way we approach songs. But I think since the story in the storyline we are reaching a darker chapter than we had in the previous one. So I think it's going to sound maybe a little bit darker sonically, a little bit more heavier. I think it's a little bit bigger sounding overall. But
Yeah,
that has a lot to do with the fact that we met Jacob Hansen, the guy who mixed the record. So I think um, there's been a progression in sound overall, but I think maybe it sounds a little bit more hungry in a way, because we have a new addition, the new guitarist. He came in with a lot of in a lot of ways we opened our eyes in a different way when he joined.
hmm,
Um, so I think people are going to recognize the sound, but we are not copying ourselves from the first record.
yeah. Well, I
Mm.
think that sounds really exciting because nobody wants a band like AC/DC who they just been releasing the same stuff for years over, kind of.
I'm amazed when you say AC/DC. I'm amazed that they still do these 3 chord songs and can fill stadiums still, right?
Yeah.
which is amazing. But we wanted to. We wanted to progress as a band, not only
Hmm.
for ourselves, but for the listeners and for the progression of the story as well. So it
Yeah,
needed to sound a little bit different.
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And I think it makes sense because I feel like your sound anyway was quite a progressive sound. Like
Mm,
it takes a lot of like strong melodies and stuff that everyone loves from that kind of hard rock. But then
yeah.
you always pushed it further with things like sound effects and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it makes more sense that you're like because it's already quite cinematic. So to make the sound
Mm,
even bigger and hungrier,
mm,
that's really exciting.
yeah.
I was wondering as well because you mentioned you have a new guitarist now,
Yes.
and you had a new mixer as well. And I remember you
Yeah.
saying last time when you released the first album, you guys were like old friends from like in the 90s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering like how did it feel kind of changing that dynamic with, bringing new people in?
Uh, I think, to be honest, it's always been my goal to get this. If we're talking about the first record, it was a big dream of mine to finally get it done. That's why I approached all my old friends from way back to do this.
Hmm.
Um, and that album means a lot because that if we hadn't made that record, we hadn't become the band we are today. Because with Peter and let's say after the first record, everyone was really happy, and we talked about uh, the future of the band, and some of us felt that we didn't have the time or the right place in our lives to take on a big challenge like a band.
Hmm.
So uh, we talked about everything, and two of the guys stepped back to do other things, and Peter came in. And when he got in, I must say that we as a band entered a new chapter in our lives because we actually became a band for real. The
Yeah.
first thing was about bringing out this dream record that we had when we were younger, but this time around, all new music, and everyone is on the same page and want to do the same stuff and have the same energy and the same dream, share the same dream. So I think we found an even stronger idea as a real band this time around, which is really good.
Ah, yeah, like a more kind of clear sort of identity with you
Yes.
all being on the same page and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm really happy for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
I guess as well, I was wondering, like, because you were saying that continuing on from the story, and you had this
Hmm.
story like in you from when you were young.
Yeah.
Um, like I was wondering if now you've got the first chapter, and after you've released that, did you
Mm.
kind of when you approached writing the second chapter, was it the same sort of image that you had in your head when you were younger, or like did you find it easy to stick with the plan? Or did you kind
Uh,
of get distracted by kind of new ideas, new experiences in your life, which might inspire changes to the story?
I think I had these scrapbooks from way back that I stored away in a storage unit that went to, I got them and went through them, and there was just small stuff like maybe a name of a city or a road or a character or a feeling or a track title. So everything story-wise for Throne of Gold up until the fourth record, everything is written now.
Hmm.
Uh, so it started becoming a real story um, to 2020 2022. Yeah, yeah. And now I've written all four chapters. I've written them simultaneously, like almost like writing a book. So everything is written for the next two albums as well.
Oh, nice. That
Mm.
means you can take your foot off the pedal a little bit, maybe.
Now I can relax a bit more. Yes.
Yeah. I guess another thing,
Mm.
you just sent me your music video
Yeah.
for the new single.
Yeah.
Um, and like I was because I've seen your music videos before, and this as well, like in the theme of what you were saying of pushing things a bit further.
Mm.
The music video as well seemed like it had been pushed more. Because it's got
Definitely.
more like narrative elements, and you sort of all the
Yeah.
ones focused on like who you guys were, how you played and stuff. And
Yeah.
this one, it was a lot more like scenery around and like themes
Yeah.
and colors and stuff. So like, what was that experience like for you? Like, how was it making those kinds of music videos?
We met a fantastic guy named Joel Nilsson who did the first two videos of the first record, and
Hmm.
he's the more I've gotten to know him, he really understands my vision, and he's talked so much to me about how I see things, and how did I see this in your head when you wrote this, and etc. And all these small details. Because if you read the story and you watch the video, there's crazy amount of details everywhere
Hmm.
that matches in with the story. But to film all this was crazy, because I remember meeting him at the shoot, and he had this shot list, right, with all the going through all the frames with what was going to happen when, and doing that in front of a green screen, and trying to imagine, okay, we're here now, this is what it was weird, but I guess it has a lot to do with trust in him, right? So we trusted him with our sorry, I'm going to mute, I'm just going to cough,
It's
sorry.
okay.
We trusted him with our work, and he did an amazing job, but it was a long, tiresome process and a lot of hard work, but so worth it once you get to see the final result.
Yeah, like I said, it is a great video, and it's funny you say he's got that sort of long shot list, because it just made me think like he probably pays as much attention to detail as you do.
Yes.
So it seems like you two are really quite well suited to working together.
Yeah, and I remember, just as a small detail, we introduced this guy called the Sandman on the first record, on track number 5, and he's actually someone that plays a big part in this video. And I remember when we shot him, uh, I can't imagine how you can plan in your head all those angles with the camera, because you have to do like a zoom out, or I have no idea how you do it, but it's he did it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really like it reminds me kind of like a comic book kind of,
Mm,
for sure.
mm.
So like when it came to writing this album, what
Yeah,
part did you like enjoy the most?
I think I enjoyed uh, having Peter around, someone
Mm.
new to bounce ideas off of, and someone who shares the guitar with me. On the first record, all the rhythm guitar was all done by myself,
Hmm.
and this time around we share it 50-50. So he's it's been good to have someone come in fresh and see things a little differently. I guess when you write stuff, you start to um, have a clear sense on what your vision is, but sometimes it's really good to have someone else come in from the outside and share their perspectives on things.
Yeah.
Widens your creative possibilities, I think. So that was, I think, the time with Peter and Daniel alone, us three here in Örebro writing the new stuff. That was really something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's quite a unique experience because when you think about writing, that's
Mm,
quite like a solo thing. People tend to do it alone
yes.
if you're writing narratives. And then
Mm,
music, it's the complete opposite. Like
mm,
it's entirely collaborative, but you
yeah.
guys have managed to kind of balance like both of those aspects.
Yeah, and also I think we have clear roles this time around, more defined roles.
Hmm.
Everyone knows that, or it's not everyone knows, but since I write most of the stories, I have most of the stuff in my head, right? The
Yeah.
things that I don't have on paper, I have in my head. So the writing of the story, the lyrics, and the melodies is all up to me and Stefan, and me and Daniel and Peter do all the collaborative work with the music to fit the feeling of the song, of course.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and that makes sense because they are very feelings-based songs. I think pack a big emotional punch.
Yes, I hope that's going to come across now also, because when we read some of these lyrics and see it in a bigger picture, it's really, like you say, um, it's more emotional than a lot of stuff in the same genre that we do.
Hmm.
Mm. Not to
Yeah,
take anything away from anyone else, but it's really, since it's so story connected, it needs to be delivered with an emotional punch.
yeah, yeah. Like I
Mm.
don't think in your lyrics they don't tend to be many of the sort of cliches that they can be in like
Mm.
some other melodic bands, I guess.
Mm.
But I
It's
was,
it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Cliches. I feel sometimes, just to answer what you said. I think sometimes you when you write stuff, you start to see those small cliches here and there anyway. Um,
mhm,
but maybe they're not so subtle. Maybe.
yeah.
Mm.
Hmm. So on the kind of flip side, what were the sort
Yeah.
of challenges that you faced while writing? What were maybe the aspects of it you didn't enjoy so much?
I think the pressure the pressure of delivering something that people would think would be a how you say uh, a decent follow up, or like
Hmm.
a worthy follow up, and the amount of melody lines and song ideas and riffs that we just threw in the can was crazy. We have a lot of ideas for songs that we took almost to the final production stage, and then it doesn't have the right feel for this event, or it doesn't have the Sarayasign feel, or so it's hard because when you write stuff, you it's all about emotions, right? Something you
Hmm.
feel, and you're up in this and writing stuff, and all of a sudden it's just a red button. No, next one.
Yeah,
That's the hard thing emotionally to do also.
yeah, no, I'm sure it is. It's kind of like there's that sort of saying, isn't it, of like kill your darlings for creating anything.
Yes.
Like, um, so yeah, it must be so hard to say to kind of draw that line in the sand and say, okay, this one makes it, this one doesn't. What do you think it's if it doesn't if it's not as if you feel it doesn't as pack as an emotional punch, is that what made it not make the final cut?
Yeah, and I think we as a quartet has a really um, uh, we have how to say this. Uh, we have a clear vision of how this is supposed to sound and how the
Mm.
feeling is supposed to be. And if the feeling doesn't resonate with the storytelling and the part of the narrative, it becomes something else. It needs to like connect with the storyline. And
Yeah.
it's really hard because you love all these things. It's almost like your babies, right? So
Yeah.
all of a sudden you said, "You're not worth it. You're not worth it." It's a tough world. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future, sometime, one of those songs can be reworked for maybe a different project or something.
I think so, and I think also there's talk about maybe revisit them at one point to see if we can do something with them for the next record or something else. So yeah,
Hmm. So I
but
guess,
yeah.
sorry, I was just gonna say, like, so I guess instead of maybe being like, it's a firm no to those songs, it's a kind of maybe later to those songs.
Yeah, we have them in a like a box of we call it the arsenal. Like we have it on a like we store them away, files and stuff, and revisit them for sure. So yeah, but it's also that's a challenge, because if you want to do something, let's say for an upcoming record with an older idea, sometimes you're not at the same place emotionally
Hmm.
or inspirational wise. So that idea, when you had the inspiration mood you were in 6 months ago, doesn't resonate with the place you are today. So it's kind
Yeah.
of hard sometimes to revisit old stuff and make make something out of it. It's hard.
I guess that makes me wonder then if like
Mm,
if you have to get in a certain mood for a certain song and
mm.
you're not in that place, what are the kinds of things that you guys might do to help you get into that headspace?
Um, it depends. Often, I feel that when I'm writing, when I reach like a writer's block, or I've written like maybe a first verse and a pre-chorus and a chorus, and then I'm gonna continue with the second part of the song. Sometimes I just close up shop and go home, because it's
Yeah.
not, the feeling is not, it's not there, and then I need to revisit it a few days later to listen to it. And most of the time, funny enough, when I sing the songs to myself or read the lyrics, the feelings come back, you know. But if they don't, I'm not working on it. If the feeling is not there, I'm doing something else.
Ah, so you take it kind of as it comes. It's very
Yes.
sort of natural. It's
Yeah.
you can't manufacture any feelings or anything like that.
I'm not manufacturing anything. If the feeling is not there, if I'm not in a creative flow that's connected to the piece I'm working on, I'm not doing anything. I'm taking a walk or hanging with my kid or doing something with my girlfriend.
Nice. That sounds like a good
Mm.
way to unwind.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you actually like said like with songs like oh they're like your babies, and I was like curious as to like if you have a favorite song on the new album and if you could tell us a bit about it. But then I thought, is that like asking someone to pick like a favorite kid?
No, no. I have a favorite song on the record, a track called "The Way Back" that I wrote together with Stefan, the lead vocalist. And I
Hmm.
remember it's all subjective. Everyone hears what they hear, but when I wrote the lyrics and sang the rough vocals, the melody line that I was gonna send to Stefan, I got really emotional, and my eyes teared up, and I was like, wow, because I knew what the story meant, and I knew what I was singing about. But then after Stefan laid down his vocals, especially on that chorus, mm, I remember working with him. He was working in a studio in Stockholm, and I sat and produced him from Örebro online. And then after the take of the first refrain, I didn't hear anything from Stefan, because we had our phones and called each other back and forth discussing ideas and stuff. And I didn't hear anything. I called him, he didn't pick up. And then he phoned me 10 minutes later, and he said, wow, man, I just had to take a break. So he took a break, went away for like 10, 15 minutes and started crying. And it was like all feeling the same thing as I was feeling when I
Yeah.
was writing the lyrics. So that was a special, and that song stayed with me because of uh, that thing that happened when we recorded it. So that's my favorite at the moment, but it's really, I love all of them, but that one's stuck with me for that reason.
Yeah, that's such a powerful story, and it shows that you and Stefan have like a really good bond. And he has a really
Mm,
powerful voice as well, so
mm,
like for him to be able to bring that to life, using that kind of power he has, that
mm.
must be really like touching for you.
Yeah, it's touching, and it's also so awesome to have someone trust your idea so much. Because since I do most of the melody lines, and since he's a professional singer, and he could have easily written all the melody lines himself, but the trust we have between each other is so important also. And when the trust is there and you throw yourself out there, if you're a singer with his capability, and you deliver those things in that exact uh, feeling that you had in your head when you were writing this stuff, that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, that's really great for you guys for
Mm.
sure. Um, so as we're starting to wrap things up, because I only have the Zoom that lasts for 40 minutes,
Yeah.
um, I was just wondering, like, maybe this is going to be quite challenging, but could you just sum up the uh the new album, The Lion's Road, in just like a sentence or so? Or you can use 2 sentences if one is quite challenging.
2 sentences to describe the record. I guess it's the continuation of the first record, but within uncharted territory that lies beyond your wildest imaginations and dreams from the first one.
Oh wow. Uncharted territory. That's well impressive. Oh man. Yeah, that definitely is going to give people a lot to look forward to. So as well, just remind them again what day when the album comes out.
First single comes out tomorrow, the 14th of June. Then there's another single on the 20th of July, and the album is going to be out August 11th, along with another video.
All right, awesome. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Jesper, for coming and talking to me today.
Thank you.
It's been great, and yeah, you've given a lot for us all to think about.
Yeah. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's no problem. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.